I spent 4 years of my life working 80-hour weeks in construction to save $125,000. Every sore muscle and sleepless night was worth it because I had a dream to start my own custom home building company. My sister Catherine always supported me, or so I thought. She even helped manage my finances, since accounting was her thing. Then one day I discovered my account completely emptied. But the betrayal that cut deepest wasn't just the theft. It was watching my parents stand by her side as they told me to leave my childhood home. Before I reveal how my own blood stole my future and how I fought to get it back, let me know where you're watching from, and hit subscribe if you've ever had to stand up against family who wronged you. Growing up in suburban Michigan, I was always the dependable son. My middle-class parents, Robert and Diana, raised me and my younger sister, Catherine, with strong family values. At least that was what I believed at the time. While Catherine excelled academically, I found my calling in our high school woodworking class. There was something about transforming raw lumber into something beautiful and functional that spoke to me on a deeper level. When senior year came around, my parents naturally expected me to follow the traditional college route. The disappointment on my father's face when I told him I wanted to work in construction instead of getting a business degree is something I still remember vividly. Augustus, we did not sacrifice for 18 years to have you throw your future away, swinging a hammer, he said, his voice tight with disapproval. My mother was more diplomatic but equally concerned. We just want what is best for you, honey. Construction is such hard work, and there is not much security. Only Catherine seemed to support my decision. Let him follow his passion, Dad, she argued. Gus has always been great with his hands. Eventually they relented, though not without making it clear they thought I was making a mistake. I started as a general laborer at Morrison Construction, one of the biggest firms in our region. The work was exactly as grueling as my parents had warned. 10-hour days in sweltering summer heat, or freezing winter conditions, lifting materials until my back screamed falling into bed, exhausted only to wake up and do it all again. But I loved every minute of it. I soaked up knowledge like a sponge, learning framing, electrical work, plumbing, and finishing. By 24, I had worked my way up to foreman, managing crews and coordinating with clients. That was when my dream began to take shape. I wanted my own company specializing in custom homes, built with sustainable materials and energy-efficient designs. I did the math and figured I needed about $125,000 to launch properly, with enough buffer for the inevitable startup challenges. So I doubled down on work, taking every overtime opportunity and side job I could find. 80-hour weeks became my norm. My hands developed calluses upon calluses. I suffered 3 minor injuries on the job, including a nail through my boot that left me with a permanent scar on my left foot. On particularly tough days, my shoulders and back would seize up so badly that I needed to sleep on the floor. To maximize my savings, I moved back into my parents' basement, paying minimal rent and living on a strict budget. No vacations, no new truck like my colleagues, bought no expensive dates. Every dollar had a purpose. Catherine, who had completed her accounting degree and started working at a local firm, offered to help manage my finances. She set up spreadsheets tracking my income and expenses, and suggested opening a special savings account where we would be joint account holders. This way I can help you manage the money and make deposits when you are too busy, she explained. Plus, it will be more secure than keeping it all in your checking account. It made sense at the time. Catherine had always been the financially savvy one, and I trusted her completely. Each month we would sit down together and review my progress, watching the numbers climb steadily toward my goal. You are going to make it, Gus, she would say, genuinely excited for me. Your discipline is incredible. During those 4 years, I developed a detailed business plan. I researched suppliers, networked with potential subcontractors, and even secured interest from 2 clients who were impressed with my work at Morrison. One evening, I showed Catherine my projections for the first 3 years of business. This is really impressive, she said, studying the spreadsheets I had created. You have thought of everything. Most people just dive in without this level of planning. By spring last year, I had done it. After 4 grueling years, my account balance showed $125,000. I decided to celebrate with my family, taking them to Riverside Steakhouse, the nicest restaurant in town. I want to thank all of you for your support, I said, raising my glass after our entrees arrived. Especially you, Catherine, for helping me manage everything. I could not have done this without you. Catherine smiled broadly. What are sisters, for I always believed in you. My parents exchanged proud glances. Even my father, who had been skeptical of my path, seemed impressed. So what happens now? My mother asked. I have a meeting at the bank next Tuesday to transfer the funds for my business license and the down payment on that small commercial property on Maple Street, I explained. Then I give my 2 weeks' notice at Morrison, and Augustus Custom Homes officially begins. To new beginnings, Catherine said, raising her glass. You deserve this, Gus. If only I had known those supportive smiles masked the greatest betrayal of my life. The morning of my bank appointment arrived, and I dressed in my one good suit, the navy one I had bought specifically for meeting potential clients. I packed my business documents in a leather portfolio Catherine had given me for Christmas. The irony of that gift still stings when I think about it now. I walked into Michigan Community Bank with the confidence of someone about to realize their dream. The personal banker, Mrs. Peterson, greeted me warmly and led me to her desk. I will need to access my savings account, I explained. I am making a significant withdrawal to start my business. Of course, Mr. Wilson. Let me pull that up for you, she said, typing on her keyboard. The moment her expression changed, my stomach dropped. She frowned at her screen, then typed something else, then frowned again. Is there a problem? I asked. Mr. Wilson, are you aware that this account was emptied 2 days ago? The words did not register immediately. What do you mean emptied? She turned her monitor toward me. There it was, in stark digital clarity. Account balance $0.00. There must be some mistake, I said, my voice rising. That account had $125,000 in it as of last week. Mrs. Peterson clicked through several screens. According to our records, the full balance was transferred to another bank on Monday at 3:15 p.m. The transfer was authorized by Catherine Wilson. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Black spots danced in my peripheral vision. I gripped the edge of the desk to steady myself. Can you print those records for me? I managed to ask through the roaring in my ears. Mrs. Peterson must have recognized the signs of shock, because she brought me a cup of water before printing the transaction history. The documents confirmed my worst fear. Catherine had transferred every cent to an account at another bank. I left in a daze, nearly bumping into the glass door on my way out. In my truck, I called Catherine repeatedly. Straight to voicemail every time. Then I tried my parents. My father answered on the 4th ring. Dad, I said, my voice cracking. Something has happened to my savings. Is Catherine at home? There was a slight pause before he answered. Yes, she is here. What is going on, Augustus? I will be there in 15 minutes. Do not let her leave. The drive to my parents' house was a blur. My mind cycled through possible explanations. Maybe Catherine had transferred the money for security reasons. Maybe there had been a threat to the account. Maybe this was all a terrible misunderstanding. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed a brand new red Audi parked in front of the house. A car that certainly had not been there during our family dinner 4 days earlier. A car Catherine could not possibly afford on her accounting salary. My parents were waiting in the living room, their expressions strangely guarded. Catherine came downstairs a moment later, dressed in clothes I had never seen before, designer labels visible, even to my untrained eye. Where is my money? I demanded without preamble. Catherine did not even have the decency to look ashamed. I borrowed it for an investment opportunity. You would not understand finance, Gus. I can triple this in 6 months. The casualness of her tone made my blood boil. You stole $125,000 from me. That was not yours to invest. I did not steal anything, she said calmly. My name is on the account, too. I turned to my parents, expecting their shock and outrage. Instead, my father cleared his throat uncomfortably. Son, Catherine is just trying to help you grow your money faster before you risk it all on this construction venture. The second betrayal hit even harder than the first. You knew about this. My mother stepped forward. We thought it was for the best, Augustus. Catherine has always had a head for business. A head for business. I laughed bitterly. Is that what you call it when she buys a luxury car with my money? New designer clothes. What investment opportunity requires a shopping spree first? Catherine's expression hardened. The car is a business expense. I need to project success to attract the right investors. Return my money, I said, through gritted teeth. All of it. Now. Catherine exchanged a look with our parents. I cannot do that. Most of it is already committed. That was when the final piece clicked into place. I remembered overhearing conversations about Catherine's weekend trips to the casino. The mysterious calls she would take in private. The way she would sometimes disappear for days and return looking exhausted. You gambled it away. Did not you? I asked quietly. Her silence was confirmation enough. How much is left, Catherine? How much of my 4 years of 80-hour weeks is left? She looked at the floor. About 20,000. The room spun again. $105,000 gone. My dream evaporated in an instant. I am going to the police, I announced. And I am suing you for every cent. That was when my father stood up, his face flushed with anger. You will do no such thing. We do not involve the authorities in family matters. Family matters, I echoed incredulously. She stole my entire future. My mother began to cry softly. Please, Augustus. Catherine made a mistake. But we can work through this together. She will pay you back over time. When? In 10 years, 20, my business contacts are waiting for me now. The property I wanted will be sold to someone else. Everything I have worked for is gone. Catherine had the audacity to look annoyed. You are being dramatic. There will be other opportunities. I turned back to my parents, searching their faces for any sign that they understood the magnitude of what had happened. There was none. Just the same protective concern for Catherine they had always shown. If you go to the police, you are no longer welcome in this house, my father said firmly. I will not have a son who would send his sister to jail. The ultimatum hung in the air between us. In that moment, I realized this was not a new dynamic. My entire life, Catherine had been the favored child. Her academic achievements had always overshadowed my practical skills. Her financial needs had always taken priority over mine. I had simply never seen it clearly until now, when the contrast was too stark to ignore. You have chosen her over me for the last time, I said quietly. I went to the basement and packed my essential belongings in 2 duffel bags. Neither of my parents tried to stop me. Catherine remained in the living room texting someone on her new phone bought with my stolen money. As I loaded my truck, my father stood in the doorway. You will regret this, Augustus. Family is all we have in this world. I looked at him one last time. That is what I always thought too. Then I drove away from the only home I had ever known, with nothing but closed tools and the devastating knowledge that blood does not guarantee loyalty. The first 3 nights after leaving home, I slept in my truck in the Morrison construction parking lot. I would wake up with the sunrise, wash up in the site bathrooms, and work my shift as if my entire life had not just imploded. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but I deflected their questions. How could I possibly explain that my own sister had stolen my life savings, and my parents had chosen her side? On the 4th day, Marcus, one of my crew members, caught me brushing my teeth in the job site bathroom before our morning meeting. Gus, are you living in your truck? He asked bluntly, too exhausted to lie. I nodded. That is not happening anymore, he said firmly. I have a spare room. You are staying with me until you figure things out. Marcus's spare room was small and cluttered with exercise equipment, but it had a real bed and privacy. I offered to pay rent, but he refused. Just buy groceries once in a while, and we will call it even. With a safe place to sleep, I could focus on legal options. I found an attorney named James Wilson, who specialized in financial fraud cases. During our consultation, I laid out everything that had happened. Technically, since Catherine was a joint account holder, this is a complicated case, he explained. But the amount and circumstances make it worth pursuing. We can demonstrate intent to defraud based on the timing and her subsequent purchases. The retainer fee took most of my remaining savings, but I had no choice. I filed a police report the next day, though the officer's skepticism was palpable. Family disputes over money rarely result in criminal charges, he warned me, especially with joint accounts. But we will investigate. The investigation revealed what I had suspected: Catherine had a gambling problem. Bank records showed multiple large withdrawals at casinos over the past year, always followed by deposits from my parents' accounts to cover her losses. They had been enabling her addiction for years, hiding it from me while I trusted her with my finances. News of the lawsuit spread quickly through our extended family. Suddenly, my phone was blowing up with messages from aunts, uncles, and cousins, all urging me to drop the case. "She is your sister," my Aunt Judith wrote. "Whatever she did, you do not drag family into court." Meanwhile, my focus at work suffered. I made careless mistakes, forgot important instructions, and nearly caused an accident when I misaligned a support beam. My supervisor pulled me aside afterward. "I do not know what is going on with you, Wilson, but you need to get it together," he warned. "Another incident like today, and I will have to let you go." The pressure mounted when anonymous threatening texts started arriving from Catherine's boyfriend, warning me to drop the lawsuit if I knew what was good for me. I forwarded these to my attorney and the police, adding witness intimidation to our case. Friends I had known since childhood began taking sides. Many believed I was overreacting or being unforgiving. "It is just money," one friend said dismissively. "She is your sister forever." What they failed to understand was that it was not just money. It was 4 years of physical pain and sacrifice. It was my dream. It was my future. And most importantly, it was the ultimate betrayal of trust from the people who should have protected me. 2 months into the legal process, my parents attempted reconciliation. They invited me to dinner at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. My mother looked like she had aged years in the short time since I had left. My father was more subdued than usual. "We miss you, Augustus," my mother said, reaching for my hand across the table. I pulled back. "We have a proposal," my father continued. "If you drop the lawsuit, Catherine will set up a repayment plan. $500 a month until everything is paid back." I did the math quickly in my head. That would take 20 years. "It is the best she can do right now," my father insisted. She lost her job because of all this stress. The irony was stunning. Catherine steals my money, and somehow she is the victim experiencing stress. "My answer is no," I said firmly. "This is not about money anymore. It is about justice." My mother began to cry. "Please, Augustus. We just want our family back together." "You made your choice when you kicked me out for seeking justice," I reminded them. "Now I am making mine." As the court date approached, my attorney built a strong case. Bank records showed Catherine had methodically planned the theft, gradually changing account settings and testing small transfers before the final withdrawal. We discovered she had researched how to legally protect joint account withdrawals, and had been planning this for months. The night before the trial, Catherine made a desperate final offer, through her attorney, $30,000 immediately if I dropped the case. "Take it," her lawyer advised. Family court cases get ugly. No one walks away unscathed. I already walked away with nothing once I replied, "I am not doing it again." The morning of the trial, I arrived at the courthouse alone. My parents and Catherine entered together, a united front. Catherine had dressed conservatively, nothing like the designer clothes she had flaunted the day I confronted her. My parents looked solemn, avoiding my gaze, as we waited for the proceedings to begin. Judge Harriet Sanderson, a stern woman in her 60s, showed no patience for dramatics. When Catherine began crying during her testimony, claiming she had only been trying to help me, the judge cut her off. "Miss Wilson, the court has bank records showing you made a $2,000 withdrawal at Blue Sky Casino the same day you transferred your brother's savings. Is that your definition of helping him?" Catherine's carefully constructed story unraveled under questioning. Her attorney tried to argue that as a joint account holder, she had legal access to the funds, but Judge Sanderson was unconvinced. "Legal access does not equate to moral or ethical right to empty an account you contributed. Nothing to," she stated. When my parents testified, they were placed in the uncomfortable position of either admitting they knew about Catherine's gambling addiction and did nothing, or claiming ignorance and appearing negligent. They chose the former, confirming they had covered her debts multiple times. And yet you allowed your son to make her a joint account holder on his savings, the judge asked incredulously. Did you not think that was relevant information he should have? After 4 hours of testimony, Judge Sanderson made her ruling. Catherine was ordered to pay full restitution of $125,000 plus my legal fees. She would have to sell her car and other assets immediately, with the remainder to be paid through a court-monitored payment plan. The court rarely sees such a clear case of premeditated financial exploitation between family members, the judge concluded. The fact that it was planned during a period when the defendant was accepting help and housing from the plaintiff makes it particularly egregious. As we left the courtroom, I caught my mother's eye. The disappointment there was directed not at Catherine for her actions, but at me for pursuing justice. It confirmed what I had already accepted: winning my case meant losing my family. Catherine was forced to sell her Audi and designer items, which recovered about $42,000. The court established a payment plan for the remainder with monthly garnishment from her new job at a small accounting firm that had taken a chance on her despite the case. With the initial recovered funds, I started a scaled-down version of my business plan. Instead of custom homes immediately, I began with renovation projects and smaller construction jobs. I rented a tiny office space above a hardware store and created a simple website. Word of my situation spread through the construction community and unexpectedly became an asset. An influential building supplier who had experienced family betrayal himself offered me favorable credit terms. A retiring contractor referred 2 clients to me. Small kindnesses appeared when I least expected them. My first significant project came from Mrs. Winters, an elderly woman whose son had hired a fraudulent contractor who took her money and left the renovation half-finished. Something about helping another victim of financial deception felt right. I worked evenings and weekends to complete her kitchen and bathroom renovation for a price she could afford. You restored my faith in people, she told me, when the project was complete. She referred me to her entire senior community, and suddenly I had a niche market. 6 months after the trial, I received the final payment from Catherine's seized assets. Combined with my growing business revenue, I had enough to bid on my first new construction project, a modest 3-bedroom home for a young family. With each nail I drove, and each wall I raised, I rebuilt not just a house, but my sense of self. The business grew slowly but steadily. Augustus Custom Homes was becoming known for integrity and quality, 2 values I cherished even more after what I had experienced. 1 year after the lawsuit, I had 3 employees and a small office with a real sign out front. I was leaving the hardware store when I literally bumped into my mother in the parking lot. She looked startled, then her eyes filled with tears. "Augustus," she whispered, "you look good." "Thanks," I replied awkwardly. "How are you?" "We miss you," she said. "Catherine is doing better. She is in a program for her gambling. Your father had a minor heart scare, but he is okay now." I nodded, unsure what to say. Part of me wanted to ask why neither of them had called to tell me about my father's health, but another part already knew the answer. "I am sorry for how everything happened," she finally said. "We should have listened to you. It was the closest thing to an apology I would likely ever get." "I hope Catherine stays with her program," I said neutrally. "Would you consider coming for dinner sometime?" she asked, hopefully. I thought about it for a moment. Maybe someday, but not yet. 2 years have passed since my sister stole my life savings. Augustus Custom Homes now employs 7 people and has completed 4 new houses and dozens of renovations. I recently purchased land to build my own home, a modest but beautiful design I have been sketching since before the betrayal. The hardest lesson I learned through all of this was not about money or business. It was about the painful truth that sometimes family can be the source of our deepest wounds. I lost the family I was born into, but in the process, I found myself. I built a chosen family of loyal friends and colleagues who value integrity above blind loyalty. The legal battle to recover my money was difficult, but the emotional battle to recover my sense of self-worth was much harder. There are still days when I question whether I did the right thing by taking my sister to court. But then I look at what I have built from the ashes of betrayal, and I know my choice was right for me. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and standing up for yourself? Share your experience in the comments below. Has a family betrayal ever forced you to rebuild your life from scratch? I would love to hear how you handled it. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you believe in fighting for what is right even when it costs you everything. And please share this video if you know someone who might need encouragement to stand up for themselves. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes the family you choose is more valuable than the one you were born into.